So I've got that recorded. So much smoother transition this time. I don't know if you want me to kick it off or you kick it off or going into Bill Gates.
You can kick it right off. Go ahead.
All right. So what we are witnessing with Bill Gates is basically, this rollout of a global technocracy, and essentially you've got a decades interconnected web of eugenicists that have pretty much been hell-bent on population control, and I'm going to get into some of the proof of that. And when you think of technocracy, you're probably going to think of companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, but not to be forgotten in this is tech pioneer Bill Gates. But to understand Bill Gates, you've got to understand Microsoft, and then to understand Microsoft, you really have to first, start with IBM. So we're going to go over here to the screen and take a look at IBM. So IBM was founded by Thomas J. Watson. Thomas Watson was he was crucial in developing technology for Hitler's concentration camps. In 1937, Hitler even awarded him, so you see over here, even awarded him the Order of the German Eagle. And actually Hitler ended up even creating a new award to give to Thomas Watson. So it's like sort of like our Presidential Medal of Freedom, which now probably means nothing. You got guys like Joe Biden and stuff getting those types of awards. But with Watson, what's crazy now is that he also has this now the new big IBM supercomputer is called Watson, and they're going to have that is now going to be actually running the VA system. And so essentially what they want to do, and this is so sick that they have basically throwing it right in your face, that they have a Nazi eugenicist like Thomas Watson, who now his supercomputer is going to be the supercomputer that they want to. And I see Luke trying to jump in over there.
IBM's relationship towards Germany in World War II is absolutely shocking. And
especially you as being Polish. With you being Polish, they were setting up operations in Poland. In IBM was to help categorize the Jews, and so they're international.
Categorize a database, collect a census, collect information about individuals, tracking, databasing them. I mean, IBM was way ahead of the curve, and they were exactly tied in with, of course, the German government in their efforts during the 1930s in a very implicit way, to say the least. And when you really start diving deep into their exact relationship, you got to ask yourself some serious questions about IBM. Keep going, Tim.
Yeah, you got to ask yourself some serious questions indeed. And this is, I did a little bit. So a lot of times with Luke and I do videos, it's, I'm doing a million things. It's not my primary job. So, the more clients we get, the more, affiliates and other sponsors that we get, the more time that we can have to do this type of deep dive research and not just, reading off articles. So, and I wish I could even get more time to even deep dive further into this. So to then, back things up as to where the IBM and then Microsoft connection comes from, you actually then have to understand the guy that basically could have been Bill Gates, which is a guy by the name of Gary Kidall. And this was actually pretty fast. I watched this last night. It was a pretty fascinating, documentary, it's like a 20-minute YouTube video. I guess it's 12-minute YouTube video on the guy that could have been Bill Gates. And so there's this guy, Gary Kidall, and basically Bill Gates went up to Gary and said, Microsoft or IBM came up to Bill Gates and said, listen, we want you to help develop this operating system. And Bill Gates like, listen, that's sort of like out of my league, but I know another guy, and the guy that can do this is Gary Kidall. So then Bill then calls up Gary and is like, hey, I'm on an NDA. I can't say who it is, but we've got some very, very important people that are going to come to your house. Like, basically, don't F this up. Like, you need to be at your house. Well, Gary at the time was sort of like the biggest name around in personal computing. So it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to go fly my plane. And so we can play out a tiny bit of this right here.
To visit. Because of the non-disclosure agreement, Gates couldn't reveal exactly who was coming to visit. Bill exclaimed, quote, treat them right, they're important guys, end quote. Unfortunately, Gary was a somewhat chilled out guy and didn't really get the full urgency of what Bill was warning. Perhaps he thought it was just...
All right, so I don't want to get any fair use stuff as we're going on here, but then it goes on to say, okay, he was going and flying in his plane, and then when he wasn't there to take IBM's call. His wife, who was also the president of the Digital Research Group, then went and said, basically she wasn't willing to sign an NDA. She wasn't impressed with these guys from with guys from IBM. IBM was getting pissed off with her, pissed off with Gary, and said, screw it, we're going to go back to Bill. So then when Bill Gates, IBM went back to him the second time, Bill goes, you know what? yeah, I can do it. I know how to do this. But he didn't know how to do it. So what he ended up doing, and this is very, very sneaky, and this is very, very important to understanding, who Bill Gates really is. So what they ended up doing, and I'm trying to find the web page over here. So again, I am doing this all in real time right here. So what we saw was, and this is from the Digital Research website, in 1974, Dr. Gary A. Kildall while working for Intel Corporation, created CP/M as the first operating system for the new microprocessor. By 1977, CP/M had become the most popular operating system OS in the fledgling microcomputer PC industry. The largest digital research licensee of CP/M was a small company which started life as Traf Zero Data and is now known as Microsoft. In 1981, Microsoft paid Seattle Software Works for an unauthorized clone of CP/M, and Microsoft licensed this clone to IBM, which marketed as PC DOS on the first IBM PC in 1981, and Microsoft marketed it to other PC OEMs as MS-DOS. And so then if you actually then keep going on, let me just get back over here. So then if you keep going on, so that system he bought was actually called, it was called the Quick and Dirty Operating System, or a QDOS, and then QDOS ended up becoming MS-DOS. Microsoft Dirty Operating System then ended up becoming Microsoft Disk Operating System, which then became Windows. And so Bill Gates did have a lot of foresight to then license this technology to other people. And then what ended up, and then if you guys want to know what ended up happening, tragically to Gary, is that Gary then ended up, basically he blew the biggest opportunity of several lifetimes, and as he battled depression and alcoholism, and then ended up dying in as a result of injuries from a bar fight that he got in the mid '90s. So pretty tragic story. But as we fast forward, this progression over here, we then have Mary Maxwell Gates, which is the mother of Bill Gates, and we see that she was an executive where she served most notably with IBM CEO John Opel, and was the first woman on the Interstate Bank of Washington Board of Directors. Her son, Bill Gates, is a co-founder of Microsoft. And actually, it's crazy enough, too, her father was actually a branch manager of one of the Federal Reserve branches, which I didn't even know that. So, Bill Gates is actually tied to the Federal Reserve, too, which, that's, I didn't even know that until yesterday. So here you have the mother of Bill Gates working on the board of IBM, and she was the one who then basically, convinced IBM to then hire her son. And then you take a look at who her husband was, or Bill Gates' dad, which is Bill Gates II, more commonly known as Bill Gates Sr. And this guy was, happened to be sat on the board of directors of Planned Parenthood. Then we then take things over a little bit further, and we've got we've got Margaret Sanger, who was the founder of Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger then, famously said colored people are like human weeds, and like weeds that need to be exterminated. And, she talked about this,
Yeah, she was one of the most racist, like bigoted, like her statements are just absolutely shocking. One of the biggest, persons out there that's somehow being celebrated. She was, of course, also one of the main people behind Planned Parenthood, and also had very close relations to, of course, the Germans in the 1930s as well, writing letters to a particular chancellor all the way back in Germany. We have to be careful what we say with the specific words here, but sorry, Tim, go right ahead.
Yeah, no, and then not only that, but I think what was it, a few years ago in 2016, somebody asked Hillary who like her top mentor was, and or people she looked up to, and one of them was yours truly, Margaret Sanger. And so sorry for being an Italian American. Sorry that I don't want my tax dollars being used to exterminate me. And then part of their plan was, and I'm reading here off a quote, it says, we should hire 3 or 4 colored ministers, preferably with social service backgrounds and with engaging personalities, so think of like the Al Sharptons and stuff of the day. The most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We don't want the word to get out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of the more rebellious members. So then her grandson, this is so crazy. So then her grandson, his name is Alexander Sanger, then goes on to marry the granddaughter of Thomas Watson. So Thomas Watson had a son, and then his son they got to inherit IBM. They didn't face any war crimes. Even though, I mean, then again, you had the Bushes who were also funding, the Nazis as well. And you got to go through Bank of International Settlements. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. That's the problem in my mind, is that there's so many rabbit holes all this stuff goes into, that this would be like a 50-hour broadcast if we went down every single rabbit hole. And so for the people watching, they're like, oh, well, you didn't say this, you didn't say that. Like, I'm only one guy over here. There's only so much that you can say at one time. So then so it's just crazy that you have, IBM, which is crucial in the Nazis and eugenics, and then you have Margaret Sanger, that was crucial in eugenics, and then they ended up then teaming up by way of their grandchildren, I'm sure, to make the world, a better place, saying this, that was Jeanette Watson. And then now you got Bill Gates, who is essentially the world's most powerful doctor.
And also, not medical doctor. That's we also just launched a new shirt saying Bill Gates is not a medical doctor on our store, but also connected, of course, very well to Jeffrey Epstein, another eugenicist. If you look at what Jeffrey Epstein was into, especially with his plans on his New Mexico ranch when he was trying to breed women, yes, it's well known in many circles. Jeffrey Epstein was one of the biggest eugenicists out there, meeting with many of the top scientists, top minds, funding experiments that we can't even talk about on this particular YouTube channel. But one of the people he was meeting with secretly was, of course, Bill Gates. And Bill Gates lied to the American public, to the people, about his relationship, which we later found out was a lot closer than he let on to. First, he lied about it. Then he said, oh, it was just a few meetings. His lifestyle was, quote, intriguing. That's what he said, Bill Gates. And now we are finding out that there were many meetings and their relationship was a lot closer than other people previously thought. What happened during those meetings? What was discussed? We still don't know, Tim.
Yeah, we don't know. And so, I mean, a lot of my focus yesterday and last night was on, the early run up to Bill Gates, really trying to understand who he was, getting into some of these other connections. And so I feel like that was the more research part of what I, had to talk about. So, feel free to jump in at any time over here. And you see that, Luke and I are not, doing tons of show prep in terms of what we're, censoring me of what I can say and can't say. So, I really do appreciate that. But, as we're going on, meet the world's most powerful doctor, Bill Gates. And this was an article out of Politico a few years ago. And then you've got, let's just play this one out for just a few seconds from CNN.
So the WHO is a credible institution that has helped us through other pandemics.
Yeah, the WHO is a credible institution that's helped us out through other pandemics. And then you see over here, trying to think why I had this one on here. Oh yeah, you've got, obviously, they're big behind, trying to fund a lot of vaccine movements because they care about so many people in Africa and Southeast Asia. And sorry, and of course you got Bill Gates Sr. over here. Of course you got to get the photo op with like the poor black kid and the other minority in there. So that way, we get this whole PR rollout of how much they care about everybody. Sorry, Luke.
I mean, I was just going to say, sticking to Bill Gates, there's so many unanswered questions. There's still so much that he hasn't told the truth about. There's still so many strange connections. And again, also point out the fact that this is the man that's known for creating a computer plagued by viruses that now the mainstream media is talking about that's going to save us from this virus. I mean, there's a lot of doubt that should be casted here. And of course, a lot of people know this, even though the mainstream media is reporting him as this kind of savior. I would be more skeptical of that label. I would be more inclined to question him. And that's what a lot of people are doing. If you go to his Instagram page, I sent it to you in the show prep, and you click on any link. Let's just read off some of the comments here, because it's absolutely insane to see the response that people are giving Bill Gates on his Instagram page, which, by the way, Bill Gates is actively deleting a lot of the comments, and people are just coming back stronger than ever. And I mean, the comment section, it's just a full-on information war happening right now on Instagram right now. And if you have some time to go over some of the comments, I think it would be very worthwhile and entertaining to do so, Tim.
Yeah, we have some of these over here. So let me just go back up to the top and start reading these. I'm not logged into Instagram, so I got what we can do over here. Blah 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 blah. You're a disgrace to the human race. Hope you rot in solitary confinement. Arrest Bill Gates. Keep your
all
money.
Of them,
keep your
but
vaccine.
it's not like there's like a one good one.
No,
there's like yay, Bill, we like you, Bill. No,
this is my first time pulling it up, but this was not like we did not cherry pick this. I just pulled it up right now from.
One of them says, "I won't stop posting. Together we rise." Again, they're actively deleting these. I've been on this since I woke up in the morning, And I was like, let me just see. I'm curious what's going on there. And I posted some on Twitter, some of the responses, and wow, are they brutal, to say. Let's go over some of them. Doesn't mean we endorse them. We're just reading some of the comments here. That's it.
Sick demon, pedovore. Somebody said
Penovore. I've never heard of Penovore.
Yeah,
Again, a family-friendly show. We got to watch out for some of the language here. So let's just keep that.
Okay, well, I'm not logged into Instagram, so that there's like limited to amount that the powers that be will let me scroll. But I mean, some of the other things.
One of them says right now. I'll just read off some of them really quickly. And again, you deleted my comment twice? ? Deleting comments faster than they appear. That's what's happening right now. I won't stop posting. Together we rise. These comments are everything. Someone go make a citizen's arrest of this fraud. I am so proud of the underdogs right now. Y'all pushed us too far. And again, one of the reasons why you're kind of also seeing limited comments is because they're just getting deleted right in front of our eyes. I'm just refreshing them right now. Another one. I'm so happy to see all the warriors on the front lines of consciousness. Let's go. You can delete our comments, but you can't delete what you have done. Again, there's also, to be fair, there's a lot of also disinformation about Bill Gates that's not true. That's released as kind of a psyop, as kind of a disinformation warfare. Me and Tim were talking about this earlier because one way to discredit any legitimate criticism is to put out fake, crazy criticism that associates everyone with that criticism with that crazy person. And a lot of times that crazy person is sometimes legitimately crazy, and there's people that are crazy, but other times that person is someone working for that person, protecting their identity. This is what PR agencies are doing in the business as a way to deflect against rational, real, serious issues. What you heard here, what you heard Tim report on, what Tim provided, the historical background, the important question. Again, that's data. That's important. No theories here. We're not going to say that we believe in something here. There's some doubt that should be had. There should be a conversation. There should be some legitimate hard questions asked to Bill Gates, but there's also a lot of dangerous disinformation that is absolutely not true, that is there to muddy the waters. But overall, there should be a lot of serious questions against Bill Gates, to say the least, especially if you look, I mean, the world's richest person, one of the world's richest persons out there.
That we know of.
That we know of, didn't get there by being goody two shoes. Didn't get there by being nice. He got there by being cutthroat in the corporate industry, filled with sociopaths who are usually on top of industries,
stealing people's technology. I mean, he basically stole Gary Kittall's technology. Gary had some of the problem himself because he, wasn't really a business guy and didn't care. But at the same point, Bill Gates, it's important to go over his pedigree and his history. And we see, and this is from the GatesFoundation.org website, that they were claiming that this is going to be the decade of vaccines. And I believe it was like the previous decade, starting in 2010. So we have on screen here, the collaboration follows the January 2010 call by Bill and Melinda Gates for the next 10 years to be the decade of vaccines. The Global Vaccine Action Plan will enable greater coordination across all stakeholder groups, national governments, multilateral organizations, civil society, the private sector, and philanthropic organizations, and will identify critical policy resource and other gaps that must be addressed to realize the life-saving potential of vaccines. And now there is a decade of vaccines. Collaboration includes a leadership council. And would you want to take a guess, Luke, who might be on that leadership council? Do you want to take a guess? Because that person that might be on the leadership council might be Dr. Anthony S. Fauci, director of the NIAID, part of the National Institute of Health. So there you go, direct connections between Fauci. And now I wish we had that picture pulled up where it shows, Fauci and Gates walking together, and it says something like, this should be the most, terrifying, photo, or at least, I guess it lets people know if you're woke or not, if you understand what that is. So now we've got going over to the World Health Organization. They were started by the UN. And then, who's the UN? Okay, go to the front, go to their building, and they've got a statue in front, which is a Colt 45 with a barrel wrapped up. So then basically they want to eradicate all small arms, all firearms. They want to create a prison planet that not being facetious or hyperbolic at all about this. Then you get into, okay, who, helped create the UN? getting into Sir Julian Huxley. I mean, I'm not even gonna call him Sir Julian Huxley. So you got Huxley. He's the brother of Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley is the one who wrote Brave New World. So a lot of guys might know about that. And Huxley was also a prominent member of the British Eugenics Society and was its president from 1959 to 1962. And this gets into, there's so many rabbit holes we get into in terms of like Fabian socialism and, and like even like, what is it? The guy who wrote 1984, it wasn't Orwell. I mean, so Orwell, his actual pen name was really Eric Blair. I actually don't have any notes on this right now, but Eric Blair was also part of this whole Fabian socialism, and he wasn't able to predict it. He was part of the people who were programming this, and then I believe he even passed away not too long after 1984 was even published. So I don't have notes on that. It wasn't really just one of the rabbit holes that I decided.
The answer to 1984 is. What is it? I was gonna make a joke with 1994. 1999.
1776. I don't know.
And that's the exact number of viewers that we have right now joining us. Thank you, all you amazing people and patriots that are here with us. Oh, it just went down. But it's just 1776. Sorry, I just got distracted by that. Anything else you want to say about Bill Gates before we move on to the last story that we want to talk about here?
A tiny bit more. So, as we're going back looking on screen here, global health experts advise advanced planning for inevitable pandemic. And if there's one message that I want to, and this is with Fauci over here saying this in January 12th, 2017. If there's one message that I want to leave you with today, based on my experience, it is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases. Fauci said, how convenient. In addition to the upcoming inauguration of President Trump, the event's timing coincided with leadership changes at major global health organizations, including the UN, World Bank, WHO, and Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, making this an important moment for pandemic preparedness. And lastly, it's hard to think of a more important time for this kind of meeting and for the activism and a willingness to speak out in the public health community and the global health community that is right now on the eve of Donald Trump becoming our next president. And let's see what else I got here. Oh yeah, I just wanted to point out the CDC is actually a private organization. I see somebody call me. Gotta stop. Sorry about that. We are live. And then, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about Event 201, because obviously Bill Gates was,
Well, I did a video about that, and a lot of people say that, this is it. This is it. I mean, there's some pragmatism that needs to be kind of addressed with that event too. But overall, something that we should definitely look at with Dr. Fauci's involvement in there. I made a full video about that a couple weeks ago. I'm going to try to find it right now.
Well, right now I've got it pulled up to the We Are Change channel. I want to also direct people to Microsoft does not want you to see this. So the other day, Luke and I did a video which was on basically there's so many connections here. You have Marina Abramovich, which many of you may know is a spirit cooking lady. If you don't know what we're talking about, then you definitely have to watch that video. And so then Microsoft on Easter weekend decided that they would feature somebody who would write on the walls that they were painting in blood and semen and having.
We need a correction because it was released on Good Friday, by the way.
I said weekend. I said Easter weekend. Yeah. So you had the fake news there. I covered myself with saying.
No, I'm just making a correction. Just making sure people know, because in the video I said this video was just released. I just want to make sure. I'm always super paranoid. I'm like, wait, did I get this right? Did I not get this right? No one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, but I just wanted to clarify that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, and now you're not even making mistakes with my last name as much as usual too. So you got people out there. There is hope there for
I
everybody.
wasn't even trying, Tim. I'm sorry. There's like a weird kind of I don't know. Maybe I got hit in the head too much as a kid fighting in New York City and Brooklyn, and just that portion of my brain just somehow got affected and all that. By the way, I'm sending the video right now in the chat room. It's Bill Gates and pandemic warnings, what you're not being told, where I specifically went over Event 201 and I showed videos of the actual event and the major talking points. And one of the biggest ones was about limiting, quote, fake news and pushing authoritative sources. And again, if you look at the mainstream media and the way that they approach this, if you look at the World Health Organization, the way they approach these authoritative sources, they definitely shouldn't be trusted at all. Sorry.
And I don't see that in the chat. Did you put it into the Change the News chat?
I just sent it to the chat room right now. I got another question by 85XXS. Is Luke a Mason? No, I'm not a Mason. Not a Freemason. Got no rings. You won't see any secret Illuminati sign language here from me. Not a Freemason. Are you a Freemason, Tim?
No,
Okay,
not.
good. All right, sorry, I cut you off. We're like directed and deflected in so many different ways. We still have one more video to go. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
No, not a not a Freemason at all. Yeah, so I guess the only thing somebody could give me is my last name translates into the bottom rank of La Cosa Nostra if I had an O at the end. So, but obviously that none of that is applying to Pachotto is the bottom rank of La Cosa Nostra, the rank of hitman. So better watch out, pronounce my name, Luke. I've got a money gun. I've got a money gun over here.
Pachotto, Pachetti, Pashtet. I like the nickname Gulag Pashtet. People are asking, does Tim have a channel? Yes, Tim does have his own channel. Tim, before you give out your channel, or you could even put it in the comments if you want, so people could find you and your own stuff. Me and Tim are mainly working on a backup channel right now called Change the News. It's a second channel that we're working on, mainly because this channel is demonetized. This channel has been hit very aggressively. I'm going to put in the Change the News channel right now in the comment section. Also in there, you could go into the live chat, and that is our second channel that me and Tim are working on doing other videos on, since this channel, heavily censored, fully demonetized, always attacked by YouTube. Tim, put your channel into the comments, and
yeah, no, we just got it up on the comments, and would appreciate anyone who wanted to go. So if you just type in the Liberty Advisor, it's probably easier than typing in my name. But the Liberty Advisor will get you there. Up until literally 2 months ago, I only had like 50 people on here, so definitely appreciate everyone that's helped out. Now I do have. Now this sounds like a crazy freaking claim. If you watch this Tippett Show was right video, you will see that on like September 16th, 2016, I had a video saying that Trump is going to win and they're going to blame it on the Russians. It's literally like a 2-minute video that I did. Then also I had a fake news list go super viral on Facebook. They ended up since taking it down, but it was just literally just called fake news list. Had like 30 different fake news organizations. And so just like the tiny bit of background on me is that I was pissed off at the Libertarian Party. I saw that they were talking about banning guns and banning, and as soon as they talked about banning guns, that's when I decided to go jump ship. I tried to support Donald Trump, and then I created a page August 28th, 2016. By the week of the election, I was reaching millions of people. And then wouldn't you know that the day I had a fake news list, I had 1,200 new subscribers, and then the very next day, I've been at negative ever since. So I literally have less people following me now than 2 months after my page was created on Facebook, which is they 100% shadow ban me on there. If I go live on a video there, like literally 10 people will see it. But that sounds like a crazy claim. If you want to find someone
that sounds like Josh numbers. Anyways,
no.
Sorry. Just one thing before you finish off here. When you play videos, I'm not able to hear it. We still have one more topic to go over. Is there any way you could play the video so I could hear it and then finish off here? Sorry.
Yeah, it takes a lot of skill to be able to do that, because I've got a scene switch and go through Zoom and then switch on the fly. So the people that are watching, they won't know what's going on, but here behind the scenes, if you guys see it the wrong screen for a second, it's because it's very hard to do on the fly while also talking. But yeah, we can.
So this is going to be our last segment.